Assalamu alaikum and hello again. Welcome to a new episode of Deprogramming. Today we're going to talk about my biggest problem in life and probably yours too. Okay. Relationships are the easiest thing to mess up and the best thing to fix. Okay, if you have a relationship that you've fixed and that's honestly full of giving, then you will end up getting so much happiness here and in the hereafter. Okay? Now, revenge is probably the biggest breaker of relationships, and that's what we're talking about today. So, let's get started. So, I'm going to start by acknowledging your feelings because really that is something that you do with kids to make them listen to you, but it also works fine with adults. So, let's go and acknowledge our feelings. If somebody does something bad to you, then you do feel like doing the exact same thing or worse to them. That's a natural feeling. And that's also because revenge is just. Okay? I'll repeat. Sometimes it is just to take revenge. For example, in the Quran, our scripture, it says, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a limb for a limb, a life for a life. If somebody goes and punches my eye, I have the right to punch their eye. But as you'll see in a future video, you don't have to maximize every opportunity you get when it comes to taking. Okay? So, let's acknowledge that feeling. And when someone does something wrong to you, you feel like doing something wrong to them. And I'm saying this as a teenager. I have 4 siblings, so this lesson is mainly for me, okay? When one of my siblings snitches on me, the next time they do something wrong, I'm going to feel like snitching on them. But that's not always the right thing to do. There was this book called Wonder, and at the beginning, the teacher started the year by writing on the board, if you have two options, to do the right thing or to do the nicer thing, pick the nicer thing. Okay? Kindness is something that shouldn't be underestimated. Okay, so now that our feelings have been acknowledged and we know that revenge can be just, but we don't have to take that opportunity, I'm going to tell you something else. A very wise person said, the ultimate revenge is living well and being happy despite the harm they give to you. This guy from ancient Greece said that hateful people can't stand happy people. Before seeking revenge, first dig 2 graves. When you take revenge, you are literally digging a grave for yourself. Let me tell you why. The thing about revenge is that's a reaction, isn't it? You have already gone through all the pain. Now it's the point where you're not saying, like, for example, um there's the work that you have to put into something, and then there's the reward you reap after it. Now you have put revenge is when you have put all of the effort into it. The person has wronged you, okay? The person has already done that. You have now a bunch of good deeds. You can click the cash in button, transfer it to my good deeds bank, or you could say, actually no, I want to use this as credit and instead harm them, and then yeah, I'll lose my credit. Let me tell you something. It's simply not worth it. Okay, that's the whole idea of ihsan, aka doing good to somebody even if they're not doing good to you. Basically, above and beyond in kindness. The whole point is worth. Is it worth it? There is going to be worth in every sin. Okay? But the worthlessness outdoes the worthfulness. For example, in drinking alcohol, it's banned, forbidden by the Quran and by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, who wrote the Quran, to even sit on a table with alcohol. When you drink alcohol, you're like, why do people drink alcohol? It apparently can ease depression by making them go all woozy woozy, and that makes them forget about all their pains. But how much is that for? Maybe an hour, 2 hours? The next day they're gonna have to face all those pains all over again. Okay? The worthlessness and damaging your body by drinking alcohol is not worth the short time pleasure. That's why God forbids it. He loves for us to take care of ourselves. Similarly, he is telling us essentially that while revenge is allowed and you can do it, I would much prefer for your sake, highlight your sake, for you to not take revenge, because then I won't have to take revenge on you. And this is something that I want to really, really emphasize on. Imagine if God took revenge for our thanklessness. Okay. Imagine if every time we received a blessing, then we were expected to say an immediate prayer of thanks. And if we didn't, then instantly that blessing goes away. For example, when you get a birthday gift, let's say your dad buys you a motorcycle. Ooh la la, who doesn't want a motorcycle? Okay. And you kind of forget for a few minutes that, about everything else, and you instantly get on this motorcycle. You go to take a run. And now imagine when you just get off the motorcycle, this angel gets sent to you and says, "Well, you weren't thankful for it. Um, so we're kind of taking away the motorcycle now." How would you feel? Okay, if you get so triggered by someone that you want to take revenge, then while it is something that can make sense, it doesn't make sense. Okay, you can somehow put it into logic, but guess what? Logic doesn't prove everything. Okay, it's illogical to take revenge, and the whole reason is because people don't think of the outrageous benefits of not taking revenge. Okay, they have this whole culture of, if you hit me, if someone hits you, you hit them back. No, let me tell you a story. My mom is somebody who in public never tangles with anybody else's child. So in the community, they had maybe 10 families, each with a mom and children. Okay? And the ladies would constantly bicker over, "Oh, your child did this to me, and my child was just doing this, and they did this to you." The next day, the other lady comes, "Hey, your child did this today." My mom would never, ever tell a lady that your child is doing something to my child. She would just tell us, "Guys, please, we are guests here, okay?" And then we'd be like, "Well, they're guests too." No, right now, you are under my watch. Please, for my sake, can you not complain? Here, come sit next to me. Well, I'll tell you a story. She'd distract us from the thought of snitching, and let me tell you how that helped us. The next day, one of the ladies who was a very heavy, "Oh, your child did this to my child," speaker, then I was a very tiny kid at that time. I by mistake hung on her oven handle, okay, until I of course, I weighed something because I could walk and talk and everything. Okay, so I was doing hanging exercises on, I don't know what I was doing. I was a kid. Okay, on her oven, and her oven, it's in a breaker. And I think my mom also does this thing of basically overly dramatizing our mistakes. If the other person says, "Okay, chill out, lady, it's fine." Okay, so the oven opened, and my mom was like, "Oh," and she made this whole, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Look what my child did. I don't know, is it broken?" That lady just looked at her and said, "No, sister, it's fine. Don't worry about it. The other kids do worse things. You don't even have, like, don't worry about it at all. She didn't break anything." And the other ladies were like, you could see on their face, they were like, "What? That lady is the one who always tells us that our kids are doing stuff. How can she, like, just go and forgive that lady?" And so, yeah, that was just like solid proof. Taking revenge doesn't actually help. So, I can't wait to make my reprogramming ihsan video. See you next time. Wait, before I leave, I'm going to say one more thing. I forgot to mention this. What comes around goes around. If you don't take revenge, that person is going to suffer in the dunya and the akhirah anyways, okay? Karma exists, okay? There's a reason why people made that word up. If you do something wrong to somebody, the balance of the universe states that they will suffer some bit. So if you're such an unsatisfied muhsin, and you're like, you still feel so sad that you can't take revenge, then guess what? The world will take revenge for you. Okay, bye.